Don't forget, he's a prince, okay? So to him, she's not the Queen of England in her palace. She's just granny in her house with the grandma smell, all right? I mean, we do have paparazzi. It's just they don't have cameras. Yeah. It's just the guy running up to you like, I saw you, I saw you, I saw you, I saw you again, I saw you, I saw you. Harry, look at what you are wearing. I'm going to tell everybody, yeah? Wait, hold up. Their third date was to Botswana? I mean, normally on a third date, you might go to Red Lobster, but for a royal, you go to an entire African country? Wow. And he me good, I take his ass to Botswana.
Picture a packed O2 arena humming like a hive, spotlights slicing the London night, and one sleek figure striding out with a grin that says he is about to poke the royal bear. Before the crowd can even settle, he fires the first shot, reminding everyone that royal fever has seized the city, and he is gleefully crashing the party.
This is so amazing. So many of you here to see me, huh? I feel like Meghan Markle. This is dope.
The laughs echo, but I can almost hear Buckingham's curtains twitch. I fill listeners in. Royal weddings are supposed to be choreographed fairy tales, yet Harry and Meghan's spectacle turned into a global obsession with hats, horses, and side-eye. Trevor does not let that slide. He pictures the palace as a giant break room stocked with crumpets, and suddenly centuries of pomp feel like sitcom material.
Being a member of the royal family has always been one of the sweetest gigs you can have. You get an unlimited budget for hats, there's always free crumpets in the break room, and let's be honest, most of your job is just waving.
Just when the chuckles subside, Trevor digs deeper, casting Harry and Meghan as the ultimate odd couple. She an American actress with a black mom, he a ginger prince on welfare. The room erupts and the taboo is cracked wide open.
Her mom is black, his family's super white, she's an actress, he's on welfare. Like, it's so romantic.
I nudge the story forward. Tabloids sharpen their knives long before the vows, hunting for that one embarrassing relative they could splash across the front page. Trevor paints the nightmare in Technicolor, conjuring an imaginary Uncle Bobby who shits his pants on cue. And suddenly we all grasp the brutality of Fleet Street's daily feeding frenzy.
Meet Trevor's Uncle Bobby. I didn't even know I had an Uncle Bobby. Well, now you do, and he shits his pants.
But Trevor is only loading the cannon. He swivels, eyes gleaming, and lobs a comparison so savage it stops the room cold. Britain's royals are the Kardashians with an occasional beheading. It is comedy napalm, detonating the myth of untouchable majesty in a single breath.
The British royal family. They're like the Kardashians with an occasional...
Crowd, screaming, palace press officers, probably choking on their after-dinner mints. Because when a South African comedian can slice through 1,000 years of tradition with one punchline, you know the drawbridge is creaking. Yet that was merely the opening volley. Trevor has sharper blades hidden in his tux pocket, roasts that will torch racist headlines, blast hypocritical avocado scandals, and drag 93-year-old Queen Elizabeth straight into a hip-hop video. But those flames are still flickering in the wings, and the next strike is aimed right at the heart of Fleet Street tabloids, so take a breath because the royal roast has only just begun. Fleet Street smelled fresh blood the instant Meghan Markle crossed the palace threshold. Editors who normally nibble on polite gossip suddenly tasted a scandal banquet and slammed their presses into overdrive. Dailies that once purred over Kate Middleton's pastel fascinators now honed prose into spear tips aimed at every breath Meghan drew. Trevor Noah senses the hysteria like static in the air. With the sly grin of a fox loose inside the royal henhouse, he paints the nightmare the tabloids secretly fear. The black side of Meghan's family commandeering a live microphone at Windsor, rewriting the fairy tale with unscripted honesty.
I'm not gonna lie, I was glad that it was the white side of Meghan families that was, I'm not gonna lie. We could not handle that as black people. That is the last thing we needed.
The laugh that follows is ragged, uneasy, and absolutely electric, because everyone in the arena knows the punchline could leap onto tomorrow's front page. I rewind for the audience to the very first days of romance, a chapter that should have shimmered with champagne bubbles and rose petals. Instead, Meghan wakes to a banner screaming, almost straight out of Compton, as though her private school Los Angeles childhood never existed. Trevor splashes that absurd headline across the crowd's collective imagination, turning early amusement into exasperated disbelief at the laziness of the smear.
Like this one from the Daily Mail that read, "Harry's girl is almost straight out of Compton."
The frenzy does not fade, it mutates. Where ordinary couples might toast cheap margaritas on a boardwalk for their third date, Harry sweeps Meghan to Botswana under a velvet canopy stitched with constellations. Trevor wrings every ounce of absurdity from the contrast, joking that a prince apparently buys an entire African nation the way the rest of us spring for cheddar biscuits at a chain restaurant. The laugh lands, yet inside it pulses a sharper point. Fleet Street still has no polite language for black joy that dares to venture beyond Kensington.
Their third date was to Botswana? I mean, normally on a third date, you might go to Red Lobster, but for a royal, you go to an entire African country? Wow. When he me good, I take it to Botswana. When he me good, he take my to Botswana.
Pretense of civility shatters completely when a BBC radio host tweets a photo of a chimpanzee in a tiny coat captioned, "Royal baby leaves hospital." Trevor resurrects the screenshot like radioactive evidence, forcing the audience to stare at a caricature as rancid and dusty as colonial propaganda. Gasps smother half-formed giggles, and suddenly the monarchy's polished veneer looks brittle as spun sugar beneath a blowtorch.
A British DJ has been fired for a controversial tweet about the royal baby. The BBC's Danny Baker posted a photo showing a couple holding hands with a chimpanzee, and the caption read, "Royal baby leaves."
Still, the tabloids find a fresh low. Brunch. Kate Middleton's avocado toast is hailed as wholesome, yet Meghan's identical craving triggers editorials blaming the fruit for drought, exploitation, and global instability. Trevor stacks every melodramatic calamity allegedly perched on a single slice of sourdough, turning guacamole into a comedic sledgehammer that bangs louder than any Buckingham press release.
When Kate was pregnant, the Daily Mail said, "Pregnant Kate tenderly cradles her baby bump." But when Meghan did the exact same thing, the headline was, "Why can't Meghan Markle keep her hands off her bump? Is it pride, vanity, acting?"
When the applause finally ebbs, Prejudice has strutted across the stage wearing a couture hat and calling itself journalism. One by one, Trevor's clips peel away royal mystique until only a very old family remains, sweating beneath the Klieg lights of modern satire. In the hush that follows, I lean forward with a promise. Rumor has it Trevor once delivered a monologue so scorching the palace shredded advance copies to keep it hidden. That cannonball still rests in his vault, but the fuse is smoldering, and when it rolls into view, even the ancient stone walls of Windsor may tremble. A hush rippled through Windsor Castle's echoing halls when Harry and Meghan introduced their newborn son to the cameras, the infant's tiny head swaddled in white beneath vaulted ceilings, murmuring with centuries of pomp. The miracle of birth is universal, yet nothing about this reveal felt ordinary. Every flashbulb wanted proof of the future. How dark would his curls be? Whose cheeks would he inherit? Would his arrival bend an empire toward true inclusion? Trevor Noah replays the moment with a grin, marveling at the regal gravity that still clings to a baby who moments earlier had been little more than a heartbeat rustling inside palace silk.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have announced the name of the newest member of the royal family, their son Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor.
But Trevor refuses to let the press wallow in sentimental cooing. He flings open that gilded door to remind everyone that these same onlookers once obsessed over the wedding's supposed blackness, as though a smattering of melanin might dethrone St. George himself. He jabs the headline that trumpeted a black Celestin choir as if Buckingham had hosted a block party, then skewers the notion with surgical wit. A single cello cancels out the entire racial calculation. He laughs because any instrument you lug into a cathedral automatically gets baptized in whiteness.
If you have a black person playing the cello, it's safe to say that you've canceled out the blackness of that event.
The joke resets the tempo to heart-pounding comedy, but Trevor's next pivot is even cheekier. Royal baby or not, every proud parent knows the biological backstory no spotlight ever illuminates. Without missing a beat, he imagines Meghan and Harry trading formal brocade for sweat-damp sheets and a whisper of #blessed, catapulting tabloid worship straight into the realm of awkward bedroom truth.
We're really overjoyed to welcome this pure little miracle, the result of our sweaty night of just raw #blessed.
Just when the audience thinks they have regained composure, Trevor rewinds to that wedding sermon, the black pastor quoting Martin Luther King and invoking the weighty ghost of slavery beneath the stony gaze of dukes. He paints the scene so vividly that you can almost hear scepters clatter and monocles fog as ancestral guilt seeps into polished marble.
The only weird thing in the wedding for me was they had a black pastor, right, African pastor, and this was like, it was weird in a good way. He started giving a sermon, and he started talking about Martin Luther King, and then he started talking about slavery.
Yet perhaps Trevor's sharpest scalpel is saved for a side of avocado toast. He juxtaposes the British press's pearl-clutching over guacamole with their serene indifference to Prince Andrew's late-night strolls through Jeffrey Epstein's townhouse. The absurdity tastes almost bitter. A green fruit is framed as the downfall of civilization, while Andrew's friendship bracelet with a sex offender barely nudges the needle of outrage. Trevor piles the hypocrisy high until even the palace corgis must sense the imbalance.
Prince Andrew is over here having sleepovers at Jeffrey Epstein's house, and the British press is like, Meghan Markle ordered guacamole!
By the time the laughter subsides, a new question hovers in the rafters. If scrambled timelines of race, romance, and brunch can drive the press into meltdown, what happens when Harry and Meghan decide to rewrite their royal contract entirely? The fuse is already sizzling, and the next explosion may echo all the way to Sandringham. Call it the lightning before the thunder, back when the palace still hoped an engagement ring might tame every tabloid beast. The moment Harry's forthcoming wedding hit the wires, Britain's gossip circuits surged with more voltage than a midsummer storm. Enter comedian Gina Yashere, who took one glance at the hysteria swirling through High Street and delivered a line so crisp it sliced through centuries of royal protocol. London had not been this frenzied since Piers Morgan packed his ego and boarded a flight to America.
Oh, it's huge, Trevor. We haven't been this excited since Piers Morgan left for America.
Her jab landed like a cymbal crash, and Trevor seized that rhythm to sketch the true stakes. Meghan was American, she was divorced, and most provocative of all to the tweed set clutching pearls, she was unmistakably black. According to Trevor, those three traits combined into the most rebellious recipe a princess could possibly serve a monarchy that still counts tea leaves before dawn. The arena's laughter curled into cheers. Even from across the Atlantic, you could almost feel Buckingham's stone facade twitch.
Meghan Markle is American, she's divorced, and she's black. This is not the traditional recipe for a princess.
Yet rebellion alone was not the spark that set Fleet Street alight. It was the sly code words tucked into headlines: unroyal, unconventional, broken home. Each phrase carried the faint musk of a drawing room where races whispered, never named. Trevor paraded those choice adjectives like dusty trophies, daring the audience to recognize how prejudice dresses itself in polite vocabulary when cameras roll.
They say, meet the in-laws, the very unroyal Markle family. When they say unroyal, they really mean unwhite.
Then he lobbed the truth bomb that left pedigreed jaws slack, while the press screamed about Meghan's so-called unconventional roots. Nobody seemed bothered that Queen Elizabeth shares a family tree with her own husband. Trevor's grin widened as he reminded the world that royal bloodlines twist like ivy, entwining cousins far more tightly than any social media rumor ever could. The punchline detonated, echoing off chandeliers older than living memory.
The Queen is married to her own cousin.
But the loudest shockwave was still waiting backstage. In an age when royal proclamations once thundered from palace balconies, Harry and Meghan chose something far simpler: a square photo, a crisp caption, an Instagram revolution. Trevor replays that post for the arena, the announcement that senior duties might not suit a couple craving fresh air outside the palace gates. It was a digital scroll heard round the globe, a virtual mic drop that left courtiers scrambling for protocol manuals, last revised during the telephone era.
Prince Harry and wife Meghan Markle say they're stepping away as senior members of the royal family. They announced it on Instagram.
Now storm clouds gather over Sandringham, where the monarch herself is rumored to have slammed the brakes, literally on a convoy of advisors gunning toward damage control. Buckle your seatbelt. The Queen's next move could send courtiers skidding across the marble, because when tradition screeches to a halt in the age of memes, the spin-out tends to scatter secrets in every direction, and the skid marks are just starting to smoke. Rumor says you could hear the palace clocks hiccup when Harry and Meghan announced they would bankroll their own lives. No more taxpayer pounds, no more ceremonial ribbon cutting on command. I walk listeners through the Instagram post that set the fuse. Harry and Meghan spell it out. Senior duties? Thank you, no. They will chase purpose across oceans and pay their own way. The declaration feels like sunset gleaming off polished armor. Bright, final, impossible to ignore.
There was a rather stunning announcement today from across the pond.
British tabloids spin themselves dizzy. Courtiers scramble for etiquette manuals. Late-night comedians sharpen monologues. Yet the couple's rebel note plays on repeat, daring the ancient institution to answer.
They'll split their time between the UK and North America, and they will work to become financially independent.
Answer it does. Her Majesty summons the clan to Sandringham, like a general calling war council. Charles, William, and Harry rush to the country estate. Meghan, already back in Canada, dials in by conference call. The image is deliciously modern, a duchess on speakerphone while footmen polish silver in the next room. Trevor paints the scene so vividly you can almost taste the tension inside that oak-paneled parlor.
The Queen, as we speak, holding a crisis summit with her family in the wake of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's stunning decision to step back from their role.
He then tosses in a detail so perfect, it borders on myth. The Queen, 93 years old, crown icon, global symbol, drives herself to the summit in a Range Rover. No chauffeur, no fuss. Trevor likens it to a rapper rolling through a music video, the sovereign hands gripping the wheel, diamonds glinting on the steering column. The audience roars, half with respect, half with disbelief.
And by the way, How gangster is it that the Queen is 93 years old and still driving herself? Huh?
And now the payoff you have been waiting for. The hidden cannonball teased earlier. Trevor recalls the fairy tale logic of princess stories. People kiss frogs hoping for royalty. Then he confesses the only prize he ever got from a frog was frog herpes. The crowd explodes. It is crude, it is absurd. It is exactly the irreverent thunderbolt Buckingham dreads because it drapes the monarchy in pure slapstick.
We kiss frogs to try and become royalty. Huh? The only thing I've ever gotten is frog herpes.
The laughter lingers like an aftershock, but tension snaps back fast. Courtiers issue polished statements about constructive discussions, yet insiders whisper the room felt like a boiler ready to burst. Reporters camp outside the gates, counting engine exhaust to guess who left first. Headlines speculate about stripped privileges, frozen funds, and the Queen's legendary temper thawing into open fire. I lean into the microphone with a velvet soft tease. Word is Her Majesty's next move will be the pettiest yet, an edict aimed straight at a single word. Every brand expert says Harry and Meghan cannot live without. The order threatens to erase 1,000 years of cachet with one royal nib of the fountain pen, and it drops in mere weeks. Stay tuned, because when a dynasty tries to trademark tradition, the backlash can turn a crown into costume jewelry overnight. Suddenly, Harry and Meghan are no longer palace mascots. They are brand architects hustling beneath California sunshine, swapping coronation robes for pitch decks and studio lunches. Cameras catch Meghan stepping into a recording booth, pursing lips to conjure animals that talk, sing, and sell toys by the truckload. Trevor sets the scene with gleeful awe, riffing that a duchess plying her trade behind a Disney logo is equal parts surreal and deliciously modern.
Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is reportedly working on a deal to record a voiceover for Disney.
But the real jaw-dropper is Harry, ex-heir with a clipboard, prowling the Lion King red carpet like an eager agent. Trevor replays that handshake where the prince practically leans on Disney's boss, hawking his wife's dulcet tones as though he invented hustle culture. The crowd cracks up at the absurdity. Centuries of royal reserve distilled into a Hollywood elevator pitch timed between paparazzi flashes.
Prince Harry really did that? At a movie premiere last year, he asked the CEO of Disney to hook his wife up with voiceovers.
Their momentum feels unstoppable until a parchment from Buckingham lands like a lawsuit. Her Majesty decrees the Sussex brand must scrub the word royal from every website, charity banner, and eco-friendly coffee mug by March 31st. Trevor savors the twist, describing the Queen's fountain pen scratching a single syllable off the couple's global trademark as if she were slicing through sheet metal.
Harry and Meghan will soon be royals no more, at least publicly. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex released new details about their plan to step down from formal royal duties, including an agreement with the Queen to not use the word royal in any future philanthropic or commercial pursuits.
He then hauls out a cereal aisle metaphor so vivid you can smell frosted sugar. Imagine waking up to find Tony the Tiger has been replaced by a depressed polar bear because the palace insists you downgrade from the flagship to the store brand. That is how Trevor frames Harry and Meghan's enforced rebrand. Royal prestige swapped for a logo that looks almost but not quite the same.
It's actually pretty funny how petty the Queen is being. Now, because basically, you know what she's doing? She's trying to turn Harry and Meghan from the official royals to the store brand.
And just to twist the knife, he pictures future tourists squinting at podcasts and philanthropy pages, murmuring, "Which Harry and Meghan is that? Maybe the pair from Nashville with the candle shop?" The laugh explodes, equal parts empathy and schadenfreude, because everyone knows fame evaporates fastest when your name becomes generic.
No one hears names like Harry and Meghan and they're like, which Harry and Meghan? The ones from Nashville? Is that them?
Yet behind the humor lurks a sharper point. The monarchy can strip titles, but it cannot erase public memory. Harry's military service, Meghan's humanitarian spotlight, their global fan base, those live on. Trevor raises a brow, suggesting the Queen's edict may prove a masterclass in unintended consequences, pushing the couple deeper into the lucrative wilds of streaming, publishing, and influencer deals where royal is less bankable than raw charisma. Still, whispers from the inner court hint that the title purge was only the first volley. Palace sources tease a plan so petty it would turn that cereal bear into a cautionary meme, one final gambit to remind the world who guards the crown jewels of public perception. When that strategy drops, even Hollywood dealmakers may gasp. Stay tuned, because the palace may discover there is nothing more dangerous than pushing a pair of ex-royals to prove they never needed a crest to begin with. The Queen's ink had barely dried when another announcement ricocheted across social feeds. Harry and Meghan were swapping tiaras for microphones, inking a glittering deal to produce feel-good podcasts for the world's busiest streaming giant. I tell the audience to picture palace courtiers frantically Googling RSS feed, while Harry's velvet baritone introduces holiday specials ripe with stories of hope and compassion.
Prince Harry and his wife Meghan are becoming podcasters.
Trevor savors the irony, 2 ex-royals parlaying exile into airtime, then needles the absurdity of their new corporate bio. He jokes that nothing says cutting edge like discovering a job most college freshmen launch from dorm rooms between pizza runs.
Spotify says the couple's first podcast will be a holiday special this month featuring stories of hope and compassion to celebrate the new year. The first complete series is expected next year.
Yet the Sussexes are hardly alone in that hustle. Trevor reminds us that podcasting is the modern aristocracy of jobs that sound like hobbies, and he cackles that Harry and Meghan are still trading on that not real job energy the firm once provided free of charge. The arena roars, and Buckingham's marble corridors surely tremble beneath the echo.
It's good to see that even though they've left the royal family, Harry and Meghan are carrying on the tradition of not having real jobs.
But Trevor's real dagger is comparison. In another era, royal marriages brokered wine-dark provinces and barrels of Burgundy. Now the grandson of a queen must pitch his spouse's cartoon meerkat impressions to stay afloat. He milks the contrast, painting medieval envoys proffering dowries of gold while Harry chirps Hakuna Matata at a movie premiere. The punchline hits like a brass gong, reminding listeners just how far the monarchy has, in Trevor's words, fallen off.
Back in the day, it used to be like, if you marry my daughter, I'll give you Burgundy. And now it's like, my wife actually does a pretty good Timon. You should hear her.
Before the audience can exhale, Trevor circles back to the monarch herself, a nonagenarian who dismisses chauffeurs and pilots her own Range Rover across windswept estates. He calls it gangster, a stunt that would make any drill rapper jealous, and suddenly Her Majesty seems less dowdy matriarch, more street-savvy grandma burning rubber on palace gravel.
She doesn't act like someone who's the queen anymore. She's just like, I'm over it, I'm the queen. And so everyone's standing like, and she's like, yeah, I know, save me, I know. I'm not gonna sing it for myself. Call me like, save me, oh, save me. She's like, I don't need you supposed to save me. I drive myself.
I step in to connect the dots. The Queen flexes independence behind the wheel. Harry and Meghan do the same behind studio mics. Both parties are chasing relevance in a world that scrolls faster than any throne can swivel. Yet one side wields ceremonial scepters, the other brandishes sponsorship reeds. The symmetry is almost poetic, even if neither camp would dare admit it. Still, palace insiders whisper that the Spotify coup was the tipping point. If a mere podcast can spin millions in advertising, what happens when the couple adds scripted dramas, children's books, maybe even a lifestyle line that out Gwyneth Scoop? Rumor has it the firm's next countermove will attempt to recapture headlines by embracing diversity. Their word, not Trevor's, in a way that feels suspiciously like colonial déjà vu. Hold that thought, because the plan involves a brand new position inside Buckingham's marble maze, a job title so on the nose it practically perfumes itself with spin. When Trevor drags that initiative into the spotlight, his roast may scorch more than titles. It might singe the very concept of empire. Drop your guard now, and you will miss the moment the crown tries to reinvent inclusion while clinging to velvet ropes dyed with yesterday's privilege. Buckingham's response to the royal rebrand backlash arrives dressed in public relations velvet, a brand new position called diversity chief. Palace press officers trumpet the hire as proof the firm is leaping into the 20th century. Never mind, we are barreling through the 21st. Trevor Noah lifts an eyebrow, slides a grin across the audience, and cues the announcement with all the reverence of an airport intercom.
This morning, in the aftermath of disturbing claims of racism made by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, there are now reports that the royal family will soon appoint a diversity chief.
Then he summons his Daily Show colleague Michael Costa to embody this freshly minted czar. Costa pops onto the screen in mock regalia, greeting Trevor with a drawl that sounds less aristocrat and more guy hawking discount scepters on late-night television. The crowd howls at the visual, pale-skinned, smug, and about as diverse as a porcelain teacup.
Hello!
Hello, Trevor, yeah!
Trevor probes the plan, and Costa explains it with breezy confidence. Britain should simply invite non-white countries to become British again, a partnership he claims will trade raw materials for cricket lessons. The line detonates like a colonial cannon, audience laughter erupting even as jaws drop at the shamelessness.
Our new idea is for the British to reach out to non-white countries and make them British. Boom, instant diversity.
Trevor counters with a snapshot of the Queen's record. 7 decades on the throne, one breed of dog. The gag lands because everyone in the arena knows the image by heart. Her Majesty framed by a pack of nearly identical corgis, a living emblem of sameness. The joke crystallizes the point better than any white paper ever could. When even the royal pets lack variety, a diversity czar feels more stage prop than solution.
The Queen has been in power for what, 70 years? And she's only ever had one kind of dog.
To drive the satire home, Trevor widens the lens. He reminds us that whenever world leaders huddle in corridors, we imagine they plot peace treaties or climate accords, but most of the time they are simply hustling, scrounging for deals, scraping for influence, or angling for a cameo in the next Davos selfie. If the globe's power brokers are winging it, why should Buckingham be any different?
Whenever you see the world's most powerful people talking, we always assume that they're talking about important things like climate change or world peace or the next Illuminati orgy, but it turns out they're all just hustling.
The laughter at that last punch ripples beneath a darker truth. The royal family's attempt to plaster over centuries of colonial history with a single hiring announcement feels less like progress and more like a brand upgrade. A fresh coat of paint over creaking timber. Trevor milks that irony until the arena crackles, yet leaves one tantalizing thread dangling. Insiders whisper the palace is quietly prepping a reality-style media push meant to recast the House of Windsor as relatable, resilient, even a touch rebellious. Imagine crown heirs in confessionals, corgis in slow-motion montages, and the Queen dropping pearls of shade that would make any TikTok influencer gasp. That rumored project could leap from rumor to trailer overnight, and when it does, Trevor plans to light it up like a fireworks finale. So do not blink, because the royal hustle is only getting louder, and the next pitch may leave even Hollywood's slickest showrunners begging for a co-producer credit. Life outside palace walls can look suspiciously like a studio backlot when your surname once rattled continental thrones. The Sussexes have traded regimented curtsies for creative control, whipping up content recipes that mix crown lore with reality show sparkle. I hook listeners with an image, neon-lit cameras tracking Harry through a Beverly Hills foyer while housewives in couture fling champagne over vegan sushi. Trevor Noah serves that fantasy hot, proposing Harry's grand entrance, ginger beard glinting under ring lights onto television's most drama-soaked staircase.
I think they'll move to LA because Meghan is an actor, right? And then she's gonna wanna work again, and then Harry can just join the cast of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
The crowd shrieks at the absurd mental picture, and Trevor rides the wave straight into a marketing masterclass. He envisions next-level sponsorships, promo codes whispered in buttery royal tones, blue blood branding stamped on everything from herbal teas to ergonomic pillows. Then he unveils the punchline, a mattress ad that promises princely sleep for a fraction of the crown jewels, complete with discount code fit for a crest.
Prince Harry is offering 20% off Casper mattresses with promo code BlueBlood2020.
Cue raucous laughter, but there is tenderness hiding beneath the tease. Trevor remembers the moment Harry pitched his wife's talent at a red carpet mingler. No entourage, no footman, just a husband hustling for his partner. He calls it the ultimate relationship flex, proof that love can outshine lineage when the spotlights glare.
On the one hand, husband goals.
Still, comedy craves friction, and Trevor finds it in the Queen's last razor-sharp quip. Picture Harry explaining podcast ad reads, while Her Majesty arches a snowy brow and fires back a single syllable of perfect aristocratic shade. The exchange lands like polished marble hitting tile, clean, cold, unforgettable.
So, what is it that you do exactly, Harry? What is it that you do exactly, Grandma?
Yet Trevor's mischievous imagination refuses to leave the royal field untouched. He zooms back to that wedding carriage, but now the scene mutates. Every distant cousin, godparent, and half-forgotten in-law clambers aboard for an endless parade around Windsor. The hypothetical uncle from Nigeria still argues about fuel costs while Harry grips the reins, wondering whether lineage entitles him to hazard pay.
We are all getting in this carriage, every single one of us. And if we all get in the carriage, there's space for everybody. Don't be like that, Harry, huh? This is your family's day. This is not just your day, huh?
The image crystallizes a broader truth. Fame tethered to history can become a runaway carriage, glamorous yet impossible to steer. Harry and Meghan may have swapped ritual for streaming, but they still tow centuries of expectation behind every step and repeat. Trevor frames their new life as both freedom and burden, a tightrope strung between brand opportunity and public appetite for spectacle. Before anyone can decide whether to cheer or cringe, I dangle one final tease. Word is, Trevor has saved a single molten quip, a lightning bolt aimed at monarchy itself, poised to erupt as the grand finale. When that gem drops, even Buckingham's thickest stone may not muffle the boom. Stick around. The next line could echo through history like a bell tolling midnight on an empire that thought it would laugh last. Centuries of hierarchy collapse into one priceless exchange. Harry tries explaining the family's shiny new podcast deal to his grandmother, and the nonagenarian monarch fixes him with that laser-calm gaze honed over world wars and moon landings. My voice leans in, painting the silken hush of a Windsor drawing room, the flicker of a fireplace, the ghost of Churchill peering from an oil portrait. Then comes the prince's earnest pitch, RSS feeds, sponsorship reads, maybe a theme song, and the queen tilts her head, curiosity sharpening like the tip of a scepter.
So, what is it that you do exactly, Harry?
The audience feels the pause stretch, a string pulled tight enough to sing. At last, Her Majesty fires back. The only question that matters, her vowels clipped with imperial precision. Harry, momentarily stunned, fumbles for an answer. The crowd in Trevor Noah's studio is already wheezing with laughter, because the royal matriarch has just outquipped a stand-up comics fantasy.
What is it that you do exactly, Grandma? Ah, touché.
Trevor rolls the clip again, savoring that dry touch like the pop of vintage champagne. He reminds us this is the very institution once introduced to the world as the Kardashians with an occasional beheading. Yet tonight, the crown's sharpest blade is a grandmother's deadpan comeback. The punchline lingers, sparkling before he resets the frame and widens our lens to the palace's broader brand conundrum.
The British royal family, aka England's 1200-year genetics experiment.
Now comes the scorching tag, Britain's House of Windsor. Trevor jokes has quietly evolved into the world's #1 exporter of black daughters-in-law, a line that ricochets across the arena because everyone remembers how Meghan's arrival threatened tradition more than any constitutional crisis. Laughter morphs into a knowing murmur as he adds that the firm's fresh diversity pledge feels oddly timed, PR gloss brushed over stone gargoyles that have snarled the same way for 1,000 winters.
The British royal family, aka the world's #1 exporter of black daughters-in-law.
With mischief still fizzing, Trevor dials up a visual gag of global leaders hustling backstage at Gallus, swapping playlists and favor trades, while pretending to solve climate change. Then he detours to Harry's Lion King red carpet hustle, where the prince nudged Disney's boss like a roadside magician offering a 2-for-1 hat trick, one duchess, infinite voiceovers. The comedian conjures Harry pleading, "Come on, baby, do the thing, Hakuna Matata," and the crowd combusts, hearing royalty melt into cartoon catchphrase.
Come on, baby, do the thing. Hakuna Matata, do the thing.
As the laughter settles, I glide the audience to a quiet crest. Stripped titles, podcast empires, cheeky Range Rover joyrides, all proof that a crown's glitter can migrate beyond castle walls. Trevor's final gem lands with the hush of history catching its breath. If the monarchy is now a meme machine and its rebels are headlining podcasts, perhaps the real throne sits wherever an audience tunes in. So here is the question that will rattle the comment section like Big Ben at midnight. Has the House of Windsor become yesterday's punchline or tomorrow's binge watch? Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you won't believe what's coming next.